questions had not disappeared. They had returned with answers. But the answers did not settle every heart. In the markets, in the courtyards, in the quiet spaces between conversations, the same words were heard again. Repeated, discussed, reconsidered. What was once a passing thought became a shared concern. No voices were raised, but more voices were speaking, and for the first time, it could be felt, not seen, not declared, but present. They returned from Medina, carrying answers, but not the same answers. Each had heard and understood in their own way. In one place, they spoke of reassurance, in another of concern. The same meeting, told differently, the same words, remembered with emphasis. And as they spoke, others listened, not just to what was said, but how it was said. And slowly the story began to take more than one form. At first, each concern stood alone. A thought here, a question there, but slowly as they found each other, not by design, but by recognition. One voice heard another and understood. Two became three, three became more. They did not organize, they did not declare, but they began to sit together, to listen together, to speak with shared meaning. And for the first time, concern was no longer individual. It was becoming collective. The voices did not remain distant. They returned again and again. More questions, more explanations, more weight. Medina received them all, not as noise, but as responsibility. Each concern carried a face, a voice, a belief that it must be heard. And so, it was. But as they increased, so did the burden, not of authority, but of answer. And leadership was no longer measured by decision alone, but by endurance. Trust had not disappeared, but it was no longer the same everywhere. In one place, it remained steady. In another, it began to question, not loudly, not openly, but quietly. Some listened to what they had seen, others to what they had heard. And between the two, a space began to form, not of division, but of difference. And in that space, certainty no longer stood alone. What had gathered began to take shape, not as sides, not as division, but as direction. People began to stand closer to those who spoke as they did, to sit where their thoughts were understood, to return to the same voices, again and again. No lines were drawn, but they could be felt, not seen in conflict, but in pattern. And slowly, the space between perspectives began to hold its form. Nothing had broken, no voices had risen, no lines had been crossed. And yet, something had changed. The city moved as it always had. The prayers were still made, the markets still open. But beneath it all, there was a feeling, subtle, unspoken, a weight in the space between people. And though no one named it, everyone could feel it.